Good evening and welcome to California Today. I am Daniel Hall, sitting in for Lang Zhang. Here's a preview of some of today's top stories. Even though we're almost to autumn, new fires are popping up throughout the state. We've got your update on 3 of the currently burning fires. Amid the heatwave and blackout concerns, Californians are asked to extend power conservation from 3 to 10 p.m. We'll hear from a tech expert on what's leading to the outages. And California has seen an increase in crime throughout the state. One survivor of violent crime says the state's laws are prioritizing offenders over victims. A new fire has erupted in the Sierra Nevadas, and another in Southern California has rapidly grown in size. Here's a look at the new Mosquito fire and an update on the already burning Fairview fire.
Hundreds of firefighters battled the Mosquito fire in Northern California on Wednesday. According to the Sacramento Bee, evacuation orders are in place for the town of Forest Hill, which lies about halfway between Lake Tahoe and Sacramento. Evacuation warnings were also issued for Placer and El Dorado counties. It's unclear how many structures the fire has destroyed so far. Cal Fire has not reported any loss of life. The Mosquito fire covers nearly 7,000 acres and is 0% contained as of Thursday. In Southern California, the Fairview fire exploded in size, nearly quadrupling its area to 20,000 acres. The blaze is near the city of Hemet in Riverside County, where several evacuation orders are in place. The fire has claimed 2 lives and destroyed 12 structures. It is 5% contained. Cal Fire is investigating the cause of both fires.
Speaking of fires, another fire in Northern California dubbed the Mill Fire is currently under investigation. But a lumber company has stepped up and says faulty equipment at one of its mills may have sparked the blaze. Roseburg Forest Products representatives said on September 7th a possible failure of ash spraying machinery at the mill may have sparked the fire. But regardless of responsibility, the company announced plans for a $50 million community restoration fund to help those impacted by the blaze. The fire started on September 2nd. So far, 2 people lost their lives and 3 have been injured. As of Thursday, the fire is just under 4,000 acres and 75% contained. Full containment is expected by September 14th. State officials have repeatedly asked Californians to conserve water and energy. And as people turn up their air conditioning to stay cool during the baking heat, there's concerns for power grid issues. NTD's David Lamb hears from a tech expert to find out more.
Many Californians received this text message alert throughout the week. It came as state officials asked people to conserve energy to avoid power outages. California Independent Systems Operator, a nonprofit that oversees the state's bulk electric power system, recently extended the statewide flex alert from 4 to 9 p.m. to 3 to 10 p.m. They asked residents to keep thermostat settings above 78 degrees and to avoid using large appliances.
We ended up with a final peak load last evening of 50,184 megawatts. At 4 p.m., we triggered the EEA2 alert, which gave us access to the set of effectively emergency resources.
California's power alerts are divided into 3 levels, with each becoming more severe in terms of people losing service.
Now we are in stage number 3. The reason for this is because 4 and 9, we lose one of the main sources of renewable energy, which is the sun. The sun starts going down, so we are really not getting anything from it, and it's a big percentage that pushing a lot of power, electrical power or megawatts into the system.
BNAFA says at this stage, the state exceeded the emergency reserves, causing a possibility for rolling blackouts.
Now, for the rolling blackout, it usually lasts for 1 hour to 2 hours, and then they jump to the next, area and the next area. They're trying to make sure that they balance the load, so we're not going to a level where transformer is going to blow up, power lines going to go down, and now we're going to have a complete blackout.
The state also requested that electric vehicle owners avoid charging their vehicles during the energy emergency. That comes after Governor Gavin Newsom announced plans to push for more EVs in California, including banning the sale of new gas-powered cars by 2035.
The highest number in the nation. The current infrastructure need to be improved to deal with the future expansions and a new initiative that we're not going to have any. We're not going to accept any gas, driven cars.
In case of a blackout, BNAFA recommends having backup power banks and to check on the young and the elderly. California is currently caught under a heat dome, which is set to subside by the weekend. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
Authorities identified 2 victims that were allegedly killed by an off-duty sheriff's deputy in the city of Dublin. The Alameda County coroner identified them as 57-year-old Benison Tran and 42-year-old Maria Tran. The deputy, 24-year-old Devin Williams Jr., surrendered to law enforcement on Wednesday afternoon after the alleged shooting that morning. Williams is being held without bail at the Santa Rita jail. Dublin police convey their condolences to the deceased's family and friends. California's lenient punishments have led to many repeat offenders and more serious crimes. One survivor of violent crime explains why the state seems to prioritize offenders' rights and how that impacts everyone else.
Patricia Wenskunas is the founder and CEO of Crime Survivors. As a survivor of violent crime herself, she explains to California Insider's Siamak Karami why the state is prioritizing the rights of offenders over victims.
Because I really do wish that victims and survivors would share their stories. So many victims and survivors are scared to speak out because of new laws like AB 109, Prop 47, Prop 57, all these laws that coddle criminals and offenders.
She's been advocating for victim rights for almost 2 decades. Wenskunas helped pass California's Marsy's Law in 2008 that gives an additional 17 rights to the victims. But Wenskunas says victims are not getting all their rights.
And then when you think about victims not wanting to come forward because they're afraid of being re-victimized, or they're actually being re-victimized by a system that's supposed to protect them, that's supposed to provide justice in their cases, and they're not getting it. Victims are being re-victimized, they're being trampled all over, while on the other side, the offenders and criminals are getting all of their rights. They're actually getting more rights than the victims and survivors are, and the offenders are provided with legal, they're provided with food, they're provided with laptops, they're provided with all of these things that victims are not even given.
Wenskunas gives an example of a victim of crime who is struggling to resume a normal life.
I just worked with a domestic violence victim, and she called to tell me that there was $1 bail. The bail was set at $1. And she's like, he's going to get out, he's going to come back and kill me. What am I supposed to do now? She has to relocate, she has to register with the Safe at Home program, she has to work with advocates, she has to work with our organization. She has to be able to fear for her life while this individual is getting out on $1 and he just goes back to his life, whether he's working, whether he's doing whatever he wants in the community to assault or re-victimize, whether it's her children, or somebody else. That's very dangerous.
She said rape victims don't report crime to law enforcement because they are afraid the offender would see their case in the media, get released, and threaten them again. Wenskunas believes in rehabilitation for criminals, but also balancing the scales of justice to equally help survivors.
To watch the full program, find California Insider on YouTube or Epic TV on the Epic Times website. For large state contractors, the best way to win a contract in California may be to make large donations to the governor. That's according to new research recently published based on previously private government accounting documents. Here's more on what the research founder described as the pay-to-play Wild West. Groups that donated to Governor Gavin Newsom's campaign were awarded billions of dollars in state contracts in 2021. That's according to research and data published by government transparency group Open the Books. Just under 1,000 groups had contributed nearly $11 million to Newsom's campaign since 2010. Those same donors received about $6 billion in state contracts in 2021. Adam Andrzejewski, founder of Open the Books, told Fox News Digital that the Golden State is the Wild West when it comes to the lack of pay-to-play prohibitions. He added, major corporations with quasi-state monopolies in their given industries are recycling millions of their profit dollars back into the politicians. Anthem Blue Cross was one of the top recipients of contracts. They received $844 million in contracts after employees and affiliated entities donated $70,000 to the governor's campaigns. And technically, this form of pay-to-play is legal in California. Andrzejewski added that though the process is legal, he thinks Californians may not agree with the ethics. The revelation comes after auditors at Open the Books made hundreds of California public information requests, known as sunshine requests, to the state. California had previously kept this information private. We're going to take a short break now, but here's a look at all the great stories we've got ready for you when we come back. A hurricane in Mexico is weakening as it heads towards the San Diego area, but experts say California is likely to dodge the storm. We'll see where it may be headed instead. In a medical scheme very much akin to Theranos, a CEO has been found guilty of fraud. He claimed his company could diagnose COVID and other diseases through a single drop of blood. And police had to make an unexpected eviction, a hungry brown bear with a sweet tooth. Authorities got a bear out of one house after it devoured the resident's cake. That and more on California Today. A rare hurricane may make it to the southern reaches of California, but as most hurricanes do when they hit land, it has weakened. Locals hope the storm will move away from Baja California.
Hurricane K is weakening as it moves along the coast of Mexico's Baja California, northward towards San Diego. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration expects it to veer off into the Pacific Ocean instead of crossing the border into California. Mexican authorities said that Hurricane K weakened slightly by Wednesday afternoon into a Category 2 storm, with sustained wind speeds hitting 100 miles per hour.
We hope that today this storm will move away from the coast of Baja California, sir. There are 1,661 people in shelters, most in the state's south, and it is possible that this could increase.
The Los Cabos area received a tropical storm warning, while other parts of Baja California Sur received a hurricane watch and hurricane warning. The area can expect heavy rains through Saturday. Over the weekend, K killed 3 people in the state of Guerrero and damaged houses.
The Port of Los Angeles was at the center of many of last year's supply chain backups. Those delays could be resolved soon as the city plans to build a bridge to alleviate the stress.
The Port of Los Angeles is receiving a $20 million grant from the federal government on Wednesday to build a new 4-lane bridge designed to reduce truck bottlenecks at the port. According to the port, the bridge will speed up the movement of goods, reduce emissions, and improve safety.
This grant will mean less traffic and less pollution. It will mean more jobs. It will mean quicker throughput and fewer accidents. Who could be against that? And here, where 1 out of every 16 containers come over what we are going to fix with this federal and local money, because we are matching this, it's a third local, 2/3 federal, we will be able to see both trains and trucks move more swiftly and more safely through this area.
The bottleneck arose after the Duel ports repurposed a nearby 80-acre marine support facility to store shipping containers, but the facility only has one way in and out. That impeded the movement of hundreds of thousands of cargo containers. Trucks also could only drive around 5 miles per hour because of the small gap between the top of the truck and the roof of the tunnel leading out of the facility.
These improvements are expected to reduce trucking delays by almost 2,500 truck hours every single day. It's going to allow freight trains to move goods more rapidly. And yes, that's part of the fight against inflation because it can help reduce shipping costs and the cost of goods.
The funding is part of the $2.2 billion allocated through the Biden administration's Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity program.
Not long after Elizabeth Holmes, the founder of Theranos, was convicted of fraud, another case reached a similar verdict that had some striking similarities. A federal jury convicted the president of a Silicon Valley-based medical technology company of participating in a scheme to defraud clients for COVID-19 and allergy testing.
Mark Shenna, the president of Arrayet Corporation, has been convicted of participating in a $77 million COVID-19 and allergy testing scheme. According to the federal jury, the 59-year-old of Los Altos misled investors, committed healthcare fraud, and paid illegal kickbacks. He claimed he had, quote, invented revolutionary technology to test for virtually any disease using only a few drops of blood. Shenna falsely stated he was on the shortlist for the Nobel Prize. He also falsely claimed to investors that his company could be valued at $4.5 billion. In a statement, Special Agent in Charge Stephen J. Ryan said Mark Shenna orchestrated a wide-ranging fraud scheme to boost his profits by exploiting the American public's trust, paying illegal kickbacks, and submitting millions in false claims to Medicare. Shenna faces a maximum penalty of 125 years in prison. His sentencing is scheduled on January 30th, 2023.
School is back in session in Los Angeles after a ransomware attack knocked out some of its computer systems over the weekend. A federal-level response got their systems back online.
The Los Angeles Unified School District resumed classes on Tuesday after the district experienced a cyber attack on its information technology systems over the weekend. The district contacted federal officials over the weekend. In response, the White House mobilized the U.S. Department of Education, the FBI, and the Department of Homeland Security's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. The ransomware attack temporarily interfered with the LAUSD's website and email system. Officials said they immediately established a plan of action to provide better protection in the future.
Over a dozen people have been charged with defrauding state money intended for low-income families. The defendants, who are not being held, did it with stolen account information and fake cards.
16 people have been charged in an alleged massive electronic benefit transfer or EBT fraud scheme targeting funds intended for low-income families. That's according to Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gascon. Prosecutors say the case involves cloned California EBT cards using stolen account information. The cloned cards were then used to withdraw victims' EBT funds at ATMs. Gascon said in a statement, stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars intended to feed children and families is nothing short of disgusting. Let this be a warning. We will work with businesses and law enforcement to identify and stop these organized criminal operations. According to the DA's office, all of the defendants pleaded not guilty and were released on electronic monitoring. The charges come from an investigation by the Southern California High-Tech Task Force. The task force also worked with local and state social services departments and with numerous financial institutions.
Police in Simi Valley responded to an unusual home break-in. The culprit was not your typical thief, but rather a large, hungry bear. Let's see what the police found the bear doing.
A homeowner called Simi Valley police to chase away a bear from her kitchen. The large furry intruder appeared to have entered through an unlocked door. Police say the homeowner, who took shelter with her son in an upstairs bedroom, tossed the house keys through the window to the officers. Body cam video shows officers entering through the front door and scaring the bear away. Officers noticed the bear helped himself to a baked cake and had gone through the refrigerator. Nearby neighbors have also seen the bear going through their homes and even trash cans. The Simi Valley Police Department has alerted the California Department of Fish and Wildlife regarding the incident.
With a searing heat wave still lingering, people aren't the only ones struggling to keep cool. A California wildlife rescue group had to get creative to keep animals cool in the stifling heat.
The WildCare Wildlife Hospital, located in San Rafael, put up sheets over doors and windows amid triple-digit temperatures on Monday and Tuesday. It was one of the only options because the 1940s-era building doesn't have air conditioning. While working in the dark, staff are also giving animals ice packs, frozen treats, and plenty of water. The facility currently cares for about 230 baby squirrels, opossums, birds, raccoons, snakes, and turtles.
Now we're going to send it over to NTD's Thomas Christian for your sports roundup.
I'm Thomas Christian, giving you your California Today Sports Roundup. Stanford coach David Shaw spends part of his offseason each year studying up for his side gig as a draft analyst, so he knows very well what NFL teams are looking for in a quarterback. When the Cardinal host number 10 Southern California on Saturday in the Pac-12 opener this season, Shaw sees a pair of potential NFL prospects in the Trojans' dynamic dual-threat quarterback Caleb Williams and Stanford's own more traditional passer Tanner McKee. Williams was outstanding in his debut for the Trojans after following coach Lincoln Riley from Oklahoma to USC as a transfer this offseason. Williams completed 19 of his 22 passing attempts against Rice for 249 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also ran for 68 yards on 6 carries. McKee was also sharp last week against lesser competition, going 22 for 37 for 308 yards and 2 touchdowns against FCS-level Colgate. McKee made his first career start last year against the Trojans when he threw for 234 yards and 2 touchdowns in a 42-28 win at the Los Angeles Coliseum, where he used to go as a kid, cheering for USC. This SoCal versus NorCal matchup will be sure to entertain, with the spread currently favoring USC at -8.5 via Caesars Sportsbook. Max Muncy took things into his own hands with the Los Angeles Dodgers trailing 2-0. He beat the shift with a bunt, bringing Justin Turner to the plate, and Turner responded with a 3-run homer. Muncy added his own 3-run blast in the 8th to help the Dodgers beat the San Francisco Giants 7-3 on Wednesday. The NL West leaders reduced their magic number to 6 games. The Dodgers could clinch a postseason berth Friday in San Diego. Evan Phillips got the win with 1 1/3 innings of relief. Dodgers ace Clayton Kershaw allowed 2 runs and 5 hits in 6 innings and struck out 8 in his 3rd straight no decision. He's made 2 starts since coming off the injured list a week ago. Giants starter Alex Cobb gave up 3 runs and 7 hits in 4 1/3 innings. He struck out 4 and walked 3. Dodgers 7, Giants 3. Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout homered in the same game for the 8th time this season, but rookies Kerry Carpenter and Ryan Kreidler hit back-to-back homers in the 9th inning to send the Detroit Tigers to a 5-4 victory over the Los Angeles Angels on Wednesday. Kreidler hit his first career homer off Jose Quijada 4 pitches after Carpenter tied it with a homer down the left field line into the shortest porch at Angel Stadium. Eric Haas went 5 for 5 with a homer and 2 doubles in the Majors' 12th 5-hit game of the season, and former number 1 overall draft pick Spencer Torkelson hit his first homer since July 3rd as the Tigers snapped their 4-game skid. Detroit avoided a series sweep with a 13-hit attack in just their 2nd win in 9 games. Tigers 5, Angels 4.
And that's all for California sports. Back to you.
That's all we've got for you tonight. We'd love for you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcast on our California Today webpage. You can find it at ntd.com/California-Today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. I'm Daniel Hall, sitting in for Lang Jang. Have a wonderful evening.